Special thanks to my in-laws. Without you, this would have never happened. Thank you for all your support. Also, thanks to the other family and friends. Your building knowledge was greatly appreciated. Thank you all. This is the start of our driveway going up to our build site. The build is a 38 by 64 pole barn kit from a lumber company, which they contracted out the build. The build was about 2 weeks long with some rain delays. Advice, always get gutters with the initial build because water will become an issue. As you can see, it went up really quick. The permitting was a pain in the butt. The county wasn't for sure exactly what to call it because it's a pole barn conversion, but it's actually post beam construction. So after we figured out the paperwork and so on and so forth, the build advanced quite rapidly. Steel on the sides and steel on the roof. Here I thought I could dig out the rat wall by hand, which I could not. The ground was extremely hard. I finally gave up and hired the excavator to come back out and do the job for me. As you see right here. And then I had to go back in and dig that dirt out underneath the barn and install that R10 insulation, dig back 8 inches in. That's R10 insulation. Do that all the way around the house. The water became an issue with this process here. I actually had to backfill that dirt in to soak up the water and then dig the mud back out. It was an extraordinarily dirty process. Since I was short on time, I had to do it some days in the rain. And the plumbing started. Since the pole barn was built, the inside floor had dried out so bad that the plumbers actually had to use a power jack tool to help dig for the plumbing because they got tired of swinging the pickaxe. Underground work approved. Then this is the inside that we had to finish out. That's 24-inch R10 insulation that we had to lay flat right there to help stop the cold from seeping in. The plastic film there for my vapor barrier is, I believe, 4 or 6 mil plastic. I can't really remember. This is the start of our septic field. Septic field was smooth, very easy. Called the guy up, scheduled the appointment, and it was done within a few days. There was no rain delays at all. I was very happy with the excavator work. It was the same excavator too that did the driveway, the pad work, dig around the house, and the septic system. There were some issues with the well crew, but after we figured it out, they got drilling and we got it figured out. Started the concrete day. That was a huge build. That's a slab on grade, 4-inch slab, 8-inch rat wall. That was a solid pour, monolithic pour. We just started with the interior wall framing, or the exterior wall framing, to get ready for spray foam. And at this point, me and my wife were in there standing. It's like, holy cow, this house is going to be huge. And going over, we did there's a spray foam. Going over some of the building plans as things started to get late, we started laying the boards out on the floor. We could have designed the house a little bit differently. There's a small closet at the end of the hallway that just doesn't really make sense. It's only a foot deep. Some different planning could have been done to remedy that situation. There's a small closet there. But each bedroom is a 12 by it's a 10 by 12 bedroom with huge closets. We wanted to make sure that the rooms were big enough to fit all their toys, all their clothes, so there was nothing left in the living room. The framing actually went up really fast. A couple of weekends and the framing was done. I was really impressed on how fast the framing happened. We would actually run out of materials. This was 100% a family affair. My little one here, she was so happy to help out, restack all the lumber for us. There's another one of my daughters, she's cleaning up. Another daughter, she's cleaning up that's actually her bedroom space there where she's cleaning. My two youngest. That's finished up area. There was our laundry room and our utility room. The can lights, I was really proud of those because I can't measure straight or cut straight. So I was really proud that I was able to hang those. There's HVAC starting. I was really glad that I didn't have much to do with HVAC at all. I hired some guys that I knew. That's an extremely hot process. They are crawling around in the attic, and it was literally a 30 degrees difference from being up in the attic. And I was doing the electrical, running wires, and even then I was up on the ladder and they were standing up in the attic, and it was just hot. There was literally sweat dripping off them, and I had a little bit of sweat around my neck, but it was pouring off of them. There's about a mile of wire in the house. I used to be able to rattle off the exact numbers of how many feet of wire, how many outlets, how many switches, how many light switch covers I had, how many fuses I had in there, but not anymore. So we had to dig out spray foam in the walls to run the electrical lines, but part of the contract for retro spray foam is that they'll come back out and respray the foam back in where you had to remove it for the electrical, so on and so forth. There's roughly 400 sheets of drywall here. My wife and I carried that in. We were extremely exhausted. We averaged a minute per sheet carrying that in, so that took us 400 minutes to carry that in. We were very exhausted, and we were proud of ourselves afterwards. There was a mix-up. I wanted that electrical to be on the inside and not the outside, but it is what it is. some plumbing. We had some plumbing issues because, things weren't 100%, didn't match up exactly how we planned according to the drawings. Some people were confused on things. We obviously had to work around the beams. No one really planned for the beams, so we couldn't cut the beams because they were structural. We could cut the 2x4s because they were non-structural, but we could not touch the beams or drill through the beams at all. But we could go around the beams and in front of the beams. There's some of the electrical box, more plumbing. I think a husband and wife should build a house together at least once. And if they can build a house together, I believe the marriage is going to work, because it's extremely stressful, especially living with your in-laws. My in-laws are great. I can't complain one bit, but it's still stressful on them as well as it was for us, because, we're living in their house, but we're living there too. So shout out to them again, because our in-laws were great, and my wife's great for allowing this to happen. So the drywall was definitely a treat. You literally rebuild the whole entire house with drywall, and it's a lot of work. It's backbreaking. It's sweating. I mean, it's hot. It's hanging. Kudos to the people that do it professionally, because hanging drywall is not my thing. The lower ones are fine. You just make the ones that, set right there on the floor. You put a little spacer down there at the bottom, and then you just set it in. But, the ceilings are horrible. Absolutely terrible. So we did 10-foot ceilings, which we regret now. We should have done 8-foot ceilings, because as you see here in the rooms, there's 2 seams all the way around the house that we have to seam up to fix. That cost us twice as much time to cover those seams appropriately, and it cost us in labor and materials. We probably could have saved a couple of grand if we would have just done 8-foot ceilings. Could have saved it in materials, labor, especially labor and materials, the 2 big ones. Because time didn't really cost us much, because we had quite a bit of time. If I was to redo this again, the bathroom plumbing situation would have been organized differently. There is no really water closet per se to get into. If these they were to start leaking, we would actually have to cut out the walls and so on and so forth. I really don't like that idea, because it's a major work. So I just pray none of this ever falls apart. I started painting the finishes. I forget exactly how many 5-gallon buckets of primer we used. Primer and paint. Start of our kitchen. Our kitchen was supposed to be bigger. We were supposed to have another 8-foot section of cabinets. So there would be an 8-foot section on each side of the refrigerator. But that was going to be cost a lot. And this was a build during COVID. So all the inflated costs, so we cut back on that. And then we were supposed to have a really nice island, and then we cut back on that as well. Here are the kids again. Once again, this was 100% family build. The kids were great. They absolutely loved working on the house. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Never complained at all. They were always begging to come work on the house. The finishes took way longer than I actually thought it was going to be. I thought once the drywall was up, it was going to be wham, bam, and done. But that is not the case at all. The finishes is what takes the longest. My youngest showing off in her freshly painted bedroom. The two youngest ones didn't participate in their painting.
Go ahead, go. Now all the way in. Yep. Now be careful and go paint that wall. Well, let me help you so you don't drip everywhere.
Dripping. Dripping.
Let's go to the wall. Go to the wall.
Okay. I can do it.
Yep, go paint the outlet.
Okay. Wait, why both sides, Dad?
Because
Wait,
not bad for a 3-year-old.
I don't want both sides.
Yep. Go lower, Danny.
Chico, go a little lower. Huh? Go lower like this. I'm not actually going to do this. Just go lower, but not touching the outlet. Just do that, okay? Dad, I didn't.
Like I said, the two younger ones didn't participate in painting their bedrooms. My boy was just too young to do anything. My youngest daughter there that you just saw painting, Danny, she was begging to paint, and I didn't think she was going to be able to do it, but turns out that she could do it. But she was thoroughly happy to be able to just do that little bit. You would not believe the amount of board feet of trim that is in a house. It is actually absolutely shocking. Ceiling fans going in. It's amazing how much flooring you could fit in a car. Felt sorry for that car because that was a lot of flooring. More finishes. Slowly but surely, they came together. Doorknob after doorknob. Carpet after room. Doors were going up. Closets being done. Bathrooms being finished. We started at the very back of the house and started working our way out. We took 2 dumpsters of trash off the site. We could have done 3, but we burnt a lot of cardboard. Furnace was completely in now. This is where we started blowing in insulation. And that was an absolute nightmare as well. Once again, you'd be shocked on how much material was blown up in the attic. There's my wife there working on an outlet because she's very smart, and I could not figure that stuff out. Propane tank set up. More insulation. We did 2 different days of insulation. The second day was way messier than the first day. And then there's the kids eating pizza. We would come over in the evenings and actually eat dinner in the house while we were working on it, just so we could kind of enjoy the space more. Thanks to my lovely wife there. She is laying the flooring in the kitchen. Finally getting our electric. That was one of our hang-ups right there. We did not think that we were going to get the electric in time before we moved in. The grass looks green, but it's actually late November when that went in. November 17th or 18th, actually. And then we moved in 2 weeks before Christmas. And the tree fell down over our power line, or over our driveway. And then that Craftsman right there, Sawzall, I used to cut that whole tree up. It took me like 10 batteries, but I did it. But once again, thanks for watching. This is a voiceover of the video. Sorry I couldn't actually figure it out before. But I would like for you, if you have any questions about the build, just ask them in the comment section, and I'd be more than willing to answer the questions to the best of my abilities about the build. Thanks.